Hello, Michael Tellinger here, and today I'll continue my conversation with my good friend John Paul Eaglehart, all the way down under in Australia, and we're going to be continuing our conversation about Bosnia, Bosnian pyramids, and this time specifically focusing on the Ravne tunnels, those incredible Ravne tunnels in Bosnia.
So, welcome, Michael. It's good to have you back. It's good to chat
Excellent, John.
again.
Yeah,
God only knows where we'll end up.
good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Sorry for interrupting you there. Yeah, so listen, why don't you lead the way? Because you were preparing for this conversation. I know you got a whole list of stats and information about the Ravne tunnels. Maybe what I can do before you launch into the stats, just to give the viewers a quick overview of what the Ravne tunnels are. So, if I
Go for it.
may, so Ravne tunnels are the incredible network of tunnels. I think it's about 3.5 kilometers now that have been excavated and reopened. This has been done by our good friend Samir Osmanagic, or Dr. Sam Osmanagic, who is the founder of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun and the various other pyramids and structures that he has found since then. That discovery was made in 2005, the original discovery, and since then, from our understanding and experience, the activity there in Bosnia around the pyramid has become one of the most, if not the most, active archaeological site in the world. There's constant excavation and work going on and research and so forth. So several years ago, well, many years ago now, Sam accidentally, as one does these discoveries, by accident discovered these tunnels when they started to dig and realized that they were digging out what was full. Somebody, somewhere, somehow started to fill in these tunnels, and they accidentally found them, started to excavate them and remove the fill, and discovered that these tunnels run for kilometers underground in all kinds of directions and create all kinds of interesting patterns. In some ways, you could describe it resembles like the alveoli and the way that your lungs look, or trees, the roots of a tree system under the pyramid, and all converging towards the pyramid of the sun in Bosnia, in Visoko. And so imagine that. So this whole network of tunnels that is hidden, that Sam is busy excavating with these amazing team of volunteers that descend upon Visoko in Bosnia every summer, and they come and spend a few months there. They work with Sam and they keep excavating and clearing these tunnels, and the result has been absolutely remarkable, miraculous, and that's what we're going to discuss today.
So, I think let me leap off from there. So, every summer, these volunteers come and they remove this fill. And it's quite easy. It's not arduous. They're not really digging into anything. They're just removing fill. So, it's loose stones, loose soil, loose rocks. And as they go, they'll find things. So I think one of the places to start is about the dating they've been able to do. So two things happened. One is that in the side wall of the tunnel, they found a couple pieces of wood. So not the rubble they removed, but actually embedded in the walls of the tunnel. And when they sent these off to be dated, and if I check my notes, in two different laboratories, they came back with ages of 34,000 years ago, plus or minus 1,500 years, and 30,600 years, plus or minus 510 years. So that was the first date, was the stuff that was found in the walls. But then as they removed debris, they would find charcoal, they would find other bits of organic material. They were finding lots of that in the debris. Well, the curious thing is, when they started sending that stuff for dating, they came back with mostly similar dates of about 5,000 years ago. Some were as early as 3,000 years ago. Most were right around the 4,800, 5,000 year ago mark. So
So
the idea then is that these tunnels were created 30,000 years ago, which is contemporary to the Pyramid of the Sun information that we gave you last time, and that they were filled in about 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, that's really remarkable work. And really, really take your hat off to Sam Osmanagic for doing this amazing work. Again, keep in mind this is not funded by government or some major corporation or organization or the Smithsonian. This is all funded by him himself and the various funding channels that he's had to set up and find the money to do this work. Obviously, it helps when you got volunteers to come and do this work with you and for you. That helps a lot. And I think, what is it, more than 1,000 or several thousand volunteers that have come through there over the since they started working on the pyramid and then the tunnels. It's quite
Oh
spectacular.
yeah.
And
No, it's just incredible. And they just keep finding things. So he's found two kinds of tunnels, dry tunnels and water tunnels.
oh
So
yes,
some tunnels were flowing rivers, just flowing rivers that they found, and they would go in. So it was interesting that there's the dry tunnels that we can walk through. But the thing that I think is also good for people to understand is that not only did he excavate these and clear them, and yes, it's 3 kilometers worth of tunnel network, but he's installed lighting. He's installed beautiful benches so that you can sit down and you can have just immerse yourself into the experience of what's going on. He's put up signs so that, because these are, as Michael said, it's like the roots of a tree or the veins, so that they connect and they touch each other. So if without any signage, you would be completely lost.
totally,
So
totally
there's
lost.
the,
I mean, even with the signs, I would go in there when we were there recently. I would go in there and I would literally get lost and not know if I'm actually going deeper into the mountain or underground or into the tunnel or if I'm actually on my way back out until you find another sign. So luckily, as you said, it's really well signposted. It's well lit, so you're not in some dark, gloomy tunnels. I mean, it's a tunnel, but it's well lit. You don't ever feel scared or nervous or anything like that. So the
and there's
amount of
fresh
work,
air.
the amount of work, as John Paul mentioned, that's gone into this is unbelievable. This is normally that something that will be done by a mining company or a major corporation that has thrown millions and millions of dollars at this. And yet Sam has done this on his own with these volunteers and some funding as it comes when it comes.
So we'll add into this podcast an image that a little video to take you through some of the areas of the tunnel so you can see what they're like. But they're really comfortable. The temperature is consistent, 12 degrees, never varies. And the air is so fresh and so clean. There are no ventilation shafts. Do you
No.
remember him explaining how it is that we have the beautiful air, the different pressures of the ceiling heights? I didn't
Yes.
really understand.
Yeah, but for me, it's also indicative of the understanding. Whoever built these tunnels, whoever carved the original tunnels out, they really understood the frequencies, the resonance, the vibration of Gaia, and how Mother Earth and Gaia works with moving air and air columns, as you said, because these tunnels are 3 kilometers of tunnels already, but 3.5 kilometers, and there's this constant, beautiful fresh air with all the kinds of benefits that we're going to discuss now, with the negative ion concentration, the and the the constant temperature, the zero radiation and pollution. You literally like in a womb of goodness there, in the womb of Mother Earth's goodness, all the right frequencies, the right oxygen concentrations, the negative ions, and everything to help you heal, help you feel good, help to clear your mind, to be able to sit and meditate for an hour without even realizing you've been there for an hour, things like that. And as John Paul said, Sam's design and what they've done there with the little areas that they create where you can go and sit on your own or in a group and meditate or just sit there and breathe and heal or whatever it is you want to do. What an incredible place.
So if we can go into some of the benefits, I think juicy for people to understand.
Yeah.
So just for everyone's sake, what's a negative ion and why do we care? Can I put you on the spot for the science? I'm the shaman, you're the scientist.
Right. Yes. So negative ions have been studied and researched for a long time, many decades, if not 100 years or so, since I think the 1950s already. Um, and it shows that a negative, high concentration of negative ions really help to clean the air of toxins, pollutants, any kind of nasty things that you might inhale and might be bad for your body. And whether it's on the skin, whether it goes into your lungs or your eyes or wherever it is. So negative ions neutralize all these potential toxins and viruses, bacteria, and so forth. They bind to them and they neutralize them in a way. Obviously, it gets a little bit more complex to describe it. We don't need to go into the details, but you can go online and watch many YouTube channels that explain to you how negative ions help to heal your body, especially the breathing part of your body, the lungs, and so forth. And this is interesting. What I've just said there is really important because I see these tunnels, like the lungs and the alveoli, the bronchi and the alveoli of the tunnels that lead towards the pyramid that are filled with resonating air, fresh air, oxygen, and the negative ions that help do these miraculous things to people when they go in there. So the
Mm.
negative ion thing is important. Then obviously the Schumann resonance frequencies are important that are constant in there, and then the constant cool temperature that really helps you to heal when you go in there. Maybe you can pick up on the healing side of things, John Paul.
Well, so when you go to a waterfall and it feels really great and you have that really lovely feeling, that's because it's a high concentration of negative ions. So
Yes.
at a waterfall, it's measured about 5,000, I don't know,
Negative ions. I think it's measured per cubic
cubic
centimeter.
centimeter. But in the tunnel, so 10,000, 5,000 to 10,000 is like an awesome waterfall.
Yeah, let's
The
just
tunnel,
while you're talking about that, just to explain to people. So in nature where you find trees, forests, and especially water and waterfalls, where the water is falling and getting energized and activated, that's in nature is normally the place where you find the highest concentration of naturally occurring negative ions. And this is why people feel so good when they go for a walk in the forest. And especially if you go and you walk along a river in the forest and there's a waterfall. People are just naturally drawn to that, and your body knows it's good. When you walk and you find those places, you go, my God, it feels so good. You just want to lie down and stay there. And the air feels so fresh and so healing because it is, and your body subconsciously tells you that this is good for you. You want to hang out here, right? And that's why people like to go to these places in nature and go camping in forests and mountainsides and rivers and so forth. So this is consistent with what our bodies want and crave, and subconsciously we're aware of it. But now we're aware of it consciously as well, and we can start recognizing it. So when you encounter this in your life, or when you go camping or hiking, and you start feeling good, it's most likely because there's a higher concentration of negative ions. It helps you feel so good.
yep. So in the tunnels, if 10,000 is the best waterfall that's been measured, the tunnels have 345,000 parts per cubic centimeters.
So again, this is new information because until relatively recently, Sam has been measuring negative ions as he travels around the world, and he goes a lot to many ancient sites that he's been to. When he was here in South Africa with me, and when we were on our sacred sites journey on two occasions, he had his special device, and he'd be measuring the negative ion concentrations at the various sites that we go to. And again, so in nature, in the good and forestry areas and so forth, it's on average 5,000, sometimes higher. With waterfalls, it can go up to 10,000 negative ions concentration. Then what he started to measure is in the stone circles. the negative ion concentration spiked quite dramatically. It went up to 20,000, if I speak correctly, high concentrations of negative ions. At that stage, he had measured, I think, and I speak under correction now. Up to that point, he had measured up to, I think, about 35 or 40,000 or so, maybe 50,000 negative ions in the tunnels. So it was a lot higher. The concentration of negative ions in the Ravne tunnels was a lot higher, several times higher than you find in nature. At that time, we went to Great Zimbabwe, and now he's been measuring the negative ion concentrations in the various stone circles at the various sites we've been to and so forth. And then we got to Great Zimbabwe, and he measured the negative ion concentration at the base of the conical tower at Great Zimbabwe. And there, I'll never forget his face. I was still busy talking to somebody, to the group of people, explaining to them about Great Zimbabwe and so forth, and its relationship to the stone circles and the ancient civilizations and the Anunnaki and gold mining and the Zimbabwe birds and all that stuff, and the walls that resonate and really ring like bells. The walls of 6 meter wide walls and 10, 11 meters high at some places, and they still resonate. The entire walls rings like a bell when you knock it. It's unbelievable. But Sam at one stage looked at me and he said, "I can't believe the concentration of the negative ions here." And he said this is the highest concentration of negative ions he had ever measured, ever. And it was around 300,000, or maybe just more. Or it could have been more than 300,000. I can't remember exactly now, so to speak. And so at that stage, we were just blown away. That was at the base of the conical tower. And then he went back to Bosnia, went back to the Ravne tunnels. He was doing more measurements of the negative ions in the tunnels. And lo and behold, surprise, surprise, the concentration of negative ions spiked dramatically in those tunnels. We don't know what the reason for that is. I don't know if did Sam give you any reason why he thinks that the spike happened?
It's increasing the more they open. All
Oh,
the levels are increasing. The more they uncover, the more the tunnels start to function as a network. The
okay.
more they connect
Yes.
to each other, the more that everything starts to work.
Yes. 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 And I
Yep.
guess the closer you get to the pyramid, because the tunnels are ultimately connected to the pyramid, and we know this because Sam has used some very sophisticated scanning devices and technology to show you that the tunnels actually converge onto the pyramid, and then they form some sort of a spiral maneuver inside the pyramid, and then you get that 28 kilohertz frequency that exits the top of the pyramid, which is really important and really significant. And the 28 kilohertz that comes out is really good for your brain, good for your brain cells, good for your bones, good for your bones, bone and bone marrow, and also I believe for your skin. So the 28 kilohertz is definitely consistent with healing and well-being frequency, which
And there
is
are places in the tunnel that measure 28 kilohertz as well, and he's marked them. There's signs. I mean, he's really done a beautiful job for everybody. There's little areas that you go in, and there'll be a little sign that says this is one of the places that measures 28 kilohertz in
yeah.
frequency.
What's interesting when you look at resonance and harmonics works on just doubling, right? So 28 divided by 2 is 14, divided by 2 is 7. Schumann frequency is 7.83. So there's an interesting correlation there. So yeah, be that as it may, a lot more work has to be done around that. But I suspect that there's an interesting correlation between the 28 kilohertz and the Schumann resonance that they measure very, very consistently throughout the Ravne tunnels. And that's the mind-blowing thing, is that consistency of that 7.83 kilohertz, or hertz rather, of Schumann resonance in the Ravne tunnels. That's mind-blowing. And zero infiltration, zero radiation, zero cell phone, no radiation, nothing in there. You are completely protected like a cocoon of goodness.
Well, and there's nowhere you can go and be like that. I mean, right now, we don't feel the Schumann resonance. We're living in kind of between 10 and 16 in most of the places that we live in. So to be able to have time to go back and just be in the resonance frequency of the Earth is extraordinarily rare. And that's one of the bonuses of the tunnel. I mean, there's so many good things about the tunnel, but that's one, is that it's one of the places that you go and you can be with that resonance because the minute you walk out and the minute you're in little Visico even, you're no longer living in that same frequency.
You know, you just reminded me of what the incredible vibe and the spirit of the people and the tour, one tourist bus after another, and the people get off the bus. And I must say, there's a high percentage of women that seem to come there. Again, the women obviously drive this. They bring their husbands, and so they want to go. And women generally are far more connected to the maternal instincts and Mother Gaia. I guess there's some sort of a connection there. But from a spiritual perspective, women are really attracted to this. And but what struck me is just the absolute positive energy and the vibe of the people that come to visit the Ravne tunnels, to see the pyramid, spend time in the Ravne Park. The energy there and the vibe, it just you just constantly among people on a high vibration, high levels of inquisitiveness, intrigue, people that are conscious, that want to know more. They come there to experience and share, and everyone is smiling and happy. You can stop and talk to anyone. No one thinks it's weird that you stop and talk to them. Everyone is happy to sit and have a cup of coffee with you, or a beer, or a pizza. It is such an awesome place to go to.